Hello and welcome to today's video of solving LeetCode questions from easy to hard. Today we are solving question number 34. Find first and last position of element in a sorted array. It is weighted medium and we are going to see how this is solved and the reality of solving problems like this as a software engineer. So if you enjoy this kind of videos, watch till the end, give it a thumbs up and share. So let's go through the question, shall we? It reads, given an array of integers, nums, sorted in non-decreasing order, find the starting and ending position of a given target value. If target is not found in the array, return -1. So we are returning this array of -1, -1. So you must write the algorithm in O log of n, one-time complexity. And it gives example. It says, so if we have this, we have target of 8, we have to find the target, two numbers, right? And if we have target of 6, it is not found there. If we have target of 0, it's not found. And the constraints say that the length of the nums array is between 0 and 10 to the 5th, and each value in the array is between -10 to the 9th to 10 to the 9th, and nums is it's a non-decreasing array. It doesn't mean that it's ascending, but yes, kind of ascending, but you can also have two like you see here, two the same values, so it's a non-decreasing. That's how they always describe that. And the target itself is between that number. So we have to solve this, and I think the main point is to solve this to this time complexity, right, in such a way that it runs in this time complexity. And so it says if target is not found in array, return that. So let's read the question. So we should start solving. So it says, given an array of integers nums sorted in non-decreasing order, find the starting and ending position of a given target. So the starting and ending position of a given target. Yeah. Okay. So I think this one is two pointer closing window. Yeah. So from what I'm seeing, we're going to start from both ends and we're going to continuously close the gap. And the number that we find from this end will be that, and the number that we find from that end will be that. However, we can also find two numbers from this end before finding, and also find two numbers from that end. So we need to take into consideration those ideas. So I think we're going to use two pointer here, or closing window, right? So we start from two ends and then we close the window from this end to this end till we get there. So we're going to first of all compute the length of the array, right? And then again, for those of you who are new here, we started this thing where we write the algorithm in text format, and before we write the code, it is the best way to visualize it, at least for me. This has been working thus far, so we just continue with it. So we compute the length of the array, and we will initialize. So first of all, we'll handle cases of empty array and a single element in an array. I don't know if so. Find the starting and ending position of a given target. So it's 8, 8, 8. But if you have just one, Then the starting and ending is 8. Okay, so yeah, we'll just have like, yeah, so we'll have the same thing. And with the case of empty array and a single element of an empty array. Anyway, we'll come there. They will initialize result. Right. And index. That will be I for the iteration. They will iterate the array using two pointer technique. Right. And then when the iteration, we're going to compare each element at the pointers at the position at the pointers positions. Yeah, so it's a bit right. So compare the pointers at each position, and then remember again we can find this from this pointer can find this 2 before this pointer is able to find this 2. I mean, if you have a array long enough and the numbers are, so if we are saying like they're looking for 8, but where they'll have like 5 5 5 5 5. So if you do the 2 pointer, it's going to be a little bit. We also would have to make sure that the past value is always yeah. So we'll have a way to optimize this, where within this we're also going to do a while loop. Make sure that the next elements are not same as the last element, right? So it will skip the 5 5 and save us some comparing here, allowing us to achieve this one time. So let's just leave it at this for now, and we're going to compute the length of the array, which is going to have integer length equals to nums dot length, right? So we have that, and then handle cases of, so we have if length is less than, if length is equal to 0, or if length is less than 1. Let's see. At least for now, we want to do for the 2. Or if length is equal to 0, anyway, let's assume that if we have a single string here and the string matches the target, then that is the start and the end for now. However, we'll test it to see if that's what they find. So we'll do if length is equal to, length is equal to 0, then we want to return an empty array, return -1, -1. Yes. Yes, that would do. And then we want to initialize the result and indices. So indices, which will be result equal to int result is equal to, yeah, we'll just have 81 -1 81. Yeah, you know what, we can just do that right up here, so that we just use the result within, yeah, and save us a bit of space so we can use result here. Yeah. So if that's not the case, then indices, we can initialize the indices. So just initialize result there, and here we simply just initialize the indices. Yes, where we do int I. Of course, our favorite variables for iterations. Oh, not just put not I, it start, right, equals to 0, and int end equals to 0 too. Kind of same thing. You can put them in one line, but you should just leave them there. And then we'll do the iteration. We'll do the while loop, while. Sorry, int end is not 0, you should be length -1. Right, yes. So the last element of the array, so that we do the while start is less than or equal to end. That's start is not greater than end. We want to do this. So a bit of computation there. So compare each element. So first thing first is we want to compare each element if okay. So we will do if nums start is equal to target, right, and we can use the and. Yeah. You know what? Let's go a bit by bit, right? Then we can do another if. Now the idea is we're trying to check if the number at any index is equal to the target, which is what they want us to check. But we also want to check, because like I said, this can find the two numbers before that one, right? So we want to check the positions, right? So we want to check if this is true and this is still -1. So that's why I'm putting it here. So we have if result, right, and index 1 is equal to -1, then we want to put, right, result of 0 equal to start, right? Else, then we know that we already found the first one before finding this one, right? We already found the first one. Else we are going to do so we have to put, so is it find the starting and ending position of a given target. Oh, the starting and ending. Now that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that still works. That still works, because yeah. So we have that, right? So what I'm thinking is that there's a possibility. So if it says starting and ending position, this is the start position, this is the end position. Is a possibility of us having something like this, where we have multiple 8s, right? Then the ending position for that 8 becomes different, and that's what I'm trying to code for. So if say the left, right, if we had something like 7, something like that, and the left finds this 8 first and then does the second one. However, this is not, the second one is not the ending position, this one is the ending position, right? So this is correct, but in the other time, when we are doing the next if function, when we are trying to find the if end, right, we'll have to check to make sure that the first time we find the if end, yeah, so it is good. So we have to do something here, right? So we start at the end, and what we have to check here is this. So the first time we find this, right, we don't want to be able to change that anymore. So on this end, if position -1 is equals to -1, technically, now on this end, we don't even care, right? We don't care. We just want to do if position, so the first time we find the target, we don't care to check for this, right? We just have to do if target is equals to that. How? Oh, no, we do care because we want to put on the other end. It's ever increasing. Okay, it's ever increasing. All right, so if we are checking here, if result 1 is equals to -1, which means that it's the first time, it's the first value we are putting into result. Else, right, if so in the else function, right, so if this is the first time, so if we made like 8, if we have something like this, right, we want to do, because they're in non-decreasing order, which means they're in some kind of an ascending order, the starting and ending will definitely be a string of the same numbers. That's one assumption you can make, which means that you can do a while loop. You can do a while start, while num start is equal to nums. So we have to yeah. You can just first of all put start plus oh no. If we have the starting and ending, then we can put this one here. So we have the start. So when we find the start, oh, I see. Okay, that should be interesting. So first, okay, like I said, the start is, so you always have a concatenate, a chained version of it, a sequence of the same number, right? and it will mark the first value of that sequence will mark the start, and the last value will mark the end. And because they're in non-decreasing order, not necessarily ascending order, but you know that once the next number is bigger than this, then it's the sequence has ended. You're not going to find another number from the end, right? So at this point, you're using a 2-pointer to try to find the first time you find the value, so that you can iterate quickly and find the ending value of that, right? And so what we want to do is this. The first time we find a value and we have -1 from this end, we put it inside, okay? And we're trying to find the end value. So we're going to do this while loop in here, okay? We're going to do the while loop. While start is not, while this number is equal to start plus 1. So we are going to increment start. So we're going to do start plus, right? And then we're going to increment to start here, right? So when we get here, we're going to get this value and compare it to the last value. Why this is true, okay? So why non-start is equal to non-start minus 1, sorry. So the next one, -1, yes. We want to, anyway, we'll simply just increment here. We'll do start plus. Now, what this would do is, you're going to take the first time, take this and put it in this array, position 1 here. And then it's going to increment start to this, and it's going to check. So is this equal to this? Yes, it's going to increment start. Now start is now 10, right? When we find 10, then we know that we have ended that sequence of the target that we have found. And so we just need to put now the second value, which is result, right, at position 1 should be equal to start -1, because remember we have an offset of 1 to mark that we have left the sequence of the target value we are looking for. Okay, again, let me repeat this. We'll find 8, we are going to put it in start, and that's 1 for the first time, and then we'll increment start, which now comes to this position, which is 8, and then we are checking is start number at start, which is 8, equals to number at start -1, which is now still 8, is true. And we're going to increment, then start now becomes the indices here, the last index. And then we're going to come again and check if the number here the same as the number here, which is no. So it's not going to be true, it's not going to increment. So right here, we want to now equate this last value, the index of this last value, indicating our ending position of that target, right? So that's what we're doing here. And this is for the first time if this finds it before, right? So if num start is equal to target, we find it before, right? So if result is equals to, so if we find it before and then the result is 1, but if we find it, let me see, do we have to find it once? We have to find, basically it's a race to the first. That's what we are checking. The race to the first one to find it. So do we need num start is equals to target? And we can simply just return from here, right? We can return from here, return result. Yeah. And we don't really care. We don't really care. We are just finding the race, right? We don't really care for all of this, right? At this point, we're looking for the one which is, we just need to find the first value and then we increment and get the result, right? So if norms is that, we can simply just return. Else, we can do if. So we can do same thing. So same thing. Just we are doing the decrementation. So do we code it? Let's just code it, right? So we have norms end, right? It's equal to target, right? So we have result, right? Now for this result, remember this for the end, we're starting out from this angle. The first value we meet from this angle coming down will be the ending, right? So instead of result at 0, we'll put result at 1 because this is the start and that's the ending. So result at 1 will be equal to end, right? And then we'll have to decrement, will be end minus minus, and they'll have the while loop, while norms at end is equals to norms at end. So end plus 1. Remember this time around we are not minus 1. So if we do n minus minus, we'll go down. So if we do n here, and then n plus 1, we're comparing now to the previous value. In this case, it's n plus 1. That's why we're putting n plus 1 here. So n plus 1 comes n plus 1. We'll just put n minus minus, and then we'll close it. And we'll have a result now at 0 will be n plus 1 equal to n plus 1 to indicate the last value, because that's what we have escaped. Escape the sequence, and the last value of that sequence now will be n plus 1. And so we can just return result. Yes. And if both values are not, we don't care. We just increment both. We can just increment both. We can put start plus plus and end minus minus. Right. That way, if we cannot find any, we just return the -1. So since we have the return values here, we have the y's there. That's not working anymore. We can simply just return result if we cannot find anything. So that should help us with the algorithm. Yeah. So let's see if we have some errors to tackle, some issues at the end of the day. There are always those, especially when you're coding without an editor, just on LeetCode like that. But it's okay, it's progress. Internet connection is a bit down. Give it a bit time. Yeah, there we go. So let's run that and see. Compiler error. Oh, int results minus. I don't know if that I have forgotten how to. Is it new int? Oh, okay. So I think this should be curly bracket close. But not the new. I don't think the new should be there. So Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's yes. So that passes case 1, case 2, case 3, and let's submit and see if let's just see how long our solution takes. Getting one-time error Java lang index out of bound from length 1. Well, it says this is 1, 1, so the index is 0 here, length is 1 as 0, while length is less than or equals to n, start is less than or equals to n. If norms start is equals to target, yes, result is equals to start, right, and then we increment plus plus. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so it will be while this, so first of all we have while start is less than or equal to end, yeah, end. Is it no? While start is less than length, length, yeah, less than, because the end doesn't really length, and yeah, so there we go. And while end, so it's same thing here, I think. So we have same thing, but there should be end here. Yes, so if you want y start is less than n, so increment, and that will be plus 1. So it will be start, which is 1 minus 1, which is 0, and I'll put it there. Yeah. So you can try to sum it again and see if that will solve that problem. Yes, it solves the problem. So that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That wasn't so hard, but that was good. This time around it didn't take long. It didn't take 2 hours, so that was great. And I hope that this makes sense. I hope that the solution makes sense and it's easier and helps you solve all the problem. And as you can see, we beat 100% of the solutions. Our own ran at what? 0 milliseconds, because we're not just using 2 pointers, we're identifying the first from any angle, and then we use the while loop to increment, and then we return the stuff, which is actually brilliant and really good. This allows us to beat the rest and every other person else. So for memory, it wasn't that bad. We use some memory, and I think it's just because of the variables. Like if we just compute this end here, then it'd be interesting. But this is great nonetheless. This is fantastic. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And this was a good solution. And right now, I am going to try to make a post and try to post it on my WhatsApp group, on my Instagram, and my Facebook. So follow me on my social medias. The links are left below in the comment on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Share the video, and just to motivate me, just to give me some incentive in order to keep up with this video. I mean, I'm going to continue regardless, but it will help to just say, keep up the good work, and this is really nice. So this was a really good example. This was not an easy one, but a good one. It's a medium case, so, and the solution was quite straightforward. That said, thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate you. So Comment below what you want me to solve next, and we'll try it. We'll also be doing some live videos in the upcoming sessions. I hope you attend. I hope you're present. All right, have a nice day. Until next time. Goodbye.